Let's try another project in FlashPrint. This time we'll choose File, Examples, and we'll choose the cylinder instead of the box. We can see that the cylinder is 40 by 40 by 30. I'm going to go ahead and reduce that down to 20 by 20 by 15. And I'm going to add 3 more of them as duplicates. I will choose View, Orthographic, and View Top so that I'm looking straight down on the models. And now I'm going to go ahead and move them so that I have a basic sort of flower pattern here. And if I right-click on any model and choose Select All Models, well, I'm going to move this one over a tad bit. Select All Models, Bind Models, so I have a single model. I will click Start Slicing, Restore Defaults, choose Vase Mode, Yes, and Slice Preview. So as we would expect, the model is hollow. It has a solid bottom, but no top. And the walls are just a single shell thick. And a quick print time of 16 minutes. I'm going to close Print Preview and go back to Top View and zoom in on the model. And I'm going to right-click on the model and choose Unbinding Models. So now I'm back to having my individual shapes. If we try to replicate what we did with the box models, let's see what would happen. I'll choose this cylinder and click Scale, uncheck Uniform Scaling, and I'll make it 30 millimeters tall. And I'm not going to bother with the other ones because I just want to run a test to see what this will look like when it's sliced. I haven't changed any settings from the last time, so I'm just going to go ahead and click Slice Preview. Okay, similar to what we saw with the boxes, you'll see that there's no bottom part to this wall, to the wall of the larger cylinder, and instead the part that's taller than the other cylinders just renders as a single hollow surface. The problem here, though, is that if we've got it from the top, with the boxes, the bridging effect was in play. So the nozzle would move straight across from one side to the other and be supported. That line of filament would be supported on both sides. Here, though, the nozzle is moving out into space in a curved line. So let's take a look at what that would look like. If I go down to where that first line appears and then to the beginning of that layer, you can see that not only is it unsupported, but it's starting literally in midair. So that filament's just going to go straight down to the bottom. And as the nozzle comes around to finish, again, as soon as that nozzle leaves this point, that filament is on a curve and it's going to drop straight down because there's nothing to support it. Even if the nozzle started from the supported area, moved out and around to this supported area, this piece of filament will still fall down because it's not supported along the way. If you imagine this being a bridge, that's just hanging out in midair, an actual car bridge, then you could see it would collapse, right? We would need at least several supports along the way to keep this up, to keep it from failing. All right, so we know that's not going to work. We'll go back, scale that back down to 15. I'm going to look at this from the top, and now I'm going to choose Move, and I'm going to separate these cylinders a little bit so that there's an open space in the middle. Then I'll choose to select all of the models and bind the models and click Start Slicing, and I'll click Slice. But before I do, what do you think is going to happen to that middle area? Well, let's find out. Click Slice, Slice Preview. So it did print. The outer walls printed and those inner walls printed as well. Again, this is all vase mode, so they're only one shell thick, very lightweight and quick print. If I look at this top layer, for instance, I'll use the bottom slider, and then I'll step through step by step. You can see that the nozzle starts by printing that middle piece, and then it jumps to the outer wall and prints the outer wall. So that's just a peculiarity of vase mode. It will print inner features, but not horizontal features if they're at a different height. And we can go ahead and download and print this model and see what it looks like. Here's my print. You can see the outer single-walled shell and the inner single-walled shell. The stringing that you see here is caused when the nozzle moves from the inner shell to the outer shell. It did so at the same spot here for every layer, causing a tiny bit of stringing. These can be cleaned up easily with a hairdryer or a heat gun. Again, just keep in mind that this is a very thin-walled model, so you don't want to use too much heat. Just a little bit should melt those wisps away so that you'll have a nice clean print.